We are live as welcome to everyone who is here as we get ready, okay, for episode 2 of House of the Dragon. A little 30-minute pre-show hangout here. Then we will be watching the episode live with everybody. Do the same thing we did last time, which is looked like it released a couple minutes early for some people, whatever. I think we went right at 6.
Right.
I'm Pacific time. So we will sort of do that again as we get the timer up so you can kind of sync to see where we're at. And then Jimmy will come on and we will do a live stream party hangout and review episode 2.
What is even going to happen, man? I mean,
somewhat of a time jump, I think. A little bit.
So. Yeah.
In the preview, we saw Rhaenyra maybe looking at this prophecy.
Yeah. Was that did she have the dagger in hand for that, or hold on, let me see that.
I don't remember exactly if she did or not.
Interesting. Let's see. Let's go. We got some people who just found us here. Let's go. Welcome. Let's get after it.
Does anybody know if the episode shows up instantly on HBO Max regardless? I believe it does. But
yeah, if you have HBO Max, I think it's same time across the board. So 30 minutes, whatever time zone you're in.
Yeah, and then if you do not have HBO Max, I don't know, unfortunately.
Right. Smith said yes, it does.
We will see. I won't spoil it for those of you who haven't seen it, but it did sort of leak yesterday. The intro. We were talking about it. So.
Oh man. Oh yeah.
As and I have watched it. It was literally everything I wanted. So.
Oh yeah. It's
without diving into too much details there, I can say that it was quite literally everything I wanted. So those of you guys who've been following us will know, what I've been saying I want, and hey, we got it.
Let's go.
I think it's sick. I think the intro is freaking awesome.
It's amazing. Yeah, the intro I like. Yes. Agreed. We got people the UK shout out. Let's go. Well, let me think here. That would be 5 hours ahead, I think, of us. I'm pretty sure.
5 hours ahead of you, yes.
Yeah. 8 hours from
no, the time zone, man.
Crazy.
Woo! And I'm like, so last week was my I hadn't started it yet. But now I'm in my my time schedule for my new job.
Yeah.
And so Monday was pretty brutal. I'm not gonna lie. One, just because it was like, because I'm not used to 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 or whatever.
Right.
But did that. And then, so it was just like my clock was like all over the place. Then, shifted to 4:30 a.m. to 1 to work. Right. Fortunately, it's only like 15 minutes. So I'm like, now the drive isn't very long, but I'm a little more used to it. But then it was like, hey, I'm working 7 days out of the next 8. So I only had yesterday off, and so but I didn't sleep last night. So today I was like a wreck. So I was like, whatever. Well, I gotta get ready for this. So tomorrow I'll be wrecked, but then I'm off for like 3 weeks. So
Matt's sacrificing his body.
I am
like straight up sacrificing your body. I know.
The quality of food I ate to get ready for today's show is so bad. I don't even almost want to share what I ate.
Oh my god.
It's like horrendous, but I was just like so tired. Then we had to go meet like a person for the wedding venue. So much is going on, right?
Right.
I was like, I want something sweet, and we didn't have ice cream. So did I put chocolate chips in a little cup of Cool Whip? Frozen Cool Whip. Yes, I did.
Oh, perfect.
Is it the same thing? No.
Right now.
Is my stomach immediately regretting it? Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. I mean, hey, that cream though, it actually sounds really good.
It's not.
It's not. It wasn't good.
I mean, it's not the same as ice cream.
Man, I'm thinking I might need. But see, the crazy. So this is gonna start at 9. But like a hour runtime again, probably around an hour or so.
Yeah, probably. I think a little over an hour.
Oh, really? Dude, and
I
last
think all the
time,
episodes.
you, me, and Jimmy get talking, and it's like midnight. And by the time I
Yeah.
drive back to, home or whatever, or get to sleep, it's like I got to get up at 5:15. So I get like four or 5 hours of sleep or whatever. So it's there
Let's
he is. There
go.
he is.
Jimmy's right in here.
Let's go, baby.
Jimmy will be out here for the wedding. So yeah, we're gonna have to figure out what we do next week when I'm getting married, right? As the episode's out, and then you, Jimmy, and I are here. Now, I did just pull an executive decision. Because today we met with the like the wedding venue people.
Right.
And they were talking about like, okay, well, like all going over all the details, how they're gonna do everything. And they were like, hey, well, what order do you want to dismiss tables? Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I only have like 5 people coming to this wedding in the first place, and Jimmy's one of them. Yeah. So I was like, I know that he's at like table like 10 or whatever, but he's in the hey, that table is going first. I don't care if it's out of order.
Circle at that table, get him up here, get him. Yeah.
Get in. Yeah.
Gotta get fed.
Executive decision, Jimmy and Kelsey. You guys are in the group.
Freaking sick. Did you make another executive decision and put a big screen TV up where the episode will be?
We're gonna have to. Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Get something going? Yeah.
Great.
And then as Jimmy and I are going to that Saturday, the day before, we're gonna open. I bought it during season 8. I have it, the White Walker.
Oh yeah.
And now I have never
Johnny Walker. Yeah, never open. Okay.
The White Walker, Johnny Walker. We're gonna bust it open next Saturday when you're here.
Dude. wait. What time on Sunday is it again exactly? I know, Teresa.
Is the wedding?
Yeah,
5.
Like 4.
Oh no, you have to be there earlier than that.
4 or something like that. Okay, that's fine. It's plenty of time to sleep in the morning. Okay, because I feel like Saturday night, we might be live. We probably will be. I mean,
we might do it live.
Well,
you, Jimmy, and I am hoping Saturday. It all depends on what time he gets in and everything. If we can squeeze in a quick pals trip and maybe go live from pals, cool. Because they have all the books you could ever imagine.
Yeah, they do. It's sick. It's a really fun.
Yeah. Sport. What's everyone drinking tonight?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I keep looking at the fridge because I need to go over there and check and see if I can.
Well, I just loaded up on White Claws, so we're locked and loaded for Saturday.
Good. Okay, good. Dude, what are you drinking right now? You got anything? Like water? What are you doing?
I am drinking water because
you're like the body needs it.
I had a dessert of Cool Whip and chocolate chips, so my stomach is not liking that. So I'm drinking water.
Look at this. Jimmy's like, I'll be there.
Yeah.
10 to 11 a.m. Yeah. Teresa's like, nobody's coming until we'll be in the backyard chilling out.
We'll be in the backyard hanging out.
Or we'll roll down to Pals or some whatever, That'd be cool. I do have, let's see.
How many times did you watch episode 1?
I've only seen it the once and the twice. Yep, just seen it twice. Dude, you know what? That scene, yeah. I mean, I know you've probably seen like 5 or 6 times. Well, go ahead. What's the number?
Yes.
About 5 times. Yeah.
No, 4. I watched it once when we watched it live. But I sometimes when you stream from HBO Max, like when something comes out, even if you have like high quality, you don't necessarily always get that high quality till like the next day. So then I watched it with Teresa, and we watched it on the projector, which I'm a like cinephile, I guess, whatever you want to call it, where it's like different resolutions and all this stuff. And I actually found, because like Jimmy was saying, he watched it on his like nice big OLED. We had some other people saying that too.
Right.
But I actually think that watching it on the projector was kind of interesting. Then I watched it on my Mac, which is probably my best screen because it's like that 5K Retina. But actually, I enjoyed it most on the projector, not just because it's an enormous screen, but it's just watching things on a projector as opposed to a TV is like a different kind of experience because it's not backlit, right?
Right.
Because the light is shining. And in a way, it almost sometimes gives things, like if you're watching on like a really high def screen, like the edges are sharp and everything. But a projector, I feel like sometimes you know, the old CRT monitors, the tubes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it kind of gives this like roundness to things.
Yeah.
It was just it's a cool way to watch it. So you watch stuff
I
on
like
my
it.
projector.
Oh, it's all your projector's not. It's nice. Yeah. No, I think it is good. I was actually I was on Friday at school. I like pulled it up again. I was sitting there, had some time. That's my break time, so I don't want to get in trouble saying that here on a live. Like, oh shoot. You know, it's great though. I mean, yeah, and people are saying with each watch it kind of got better or whatever. Let me just ruffle some feathers. Hold on, I'll be right. Let me go grab something and let me come back.
Are you gonna talk about the birth scene?
Oh, dude, Lottie had to turn away. Like had
Teresa
to turn,
did.
dude,
Teresa did. However, there has been some people have pushed back and said, should they have put up a warning?
Some sort of trigger warning, something.
A trigger warning.
Yeah, I bet for a lot of people that I mean, it was tough. It was tough.
Right.
So it was a lot.
We'll go get your drink and then come back and we'll
yeah,
discuss.
And actually, let me. So before I go get this real quick, was this last episode? Was it not the number? Did it break records? What was the deal?
Oh yeah, it was like 20 million.
Okay,
so 10 million, 10 million at least the night of, which is the HBO record, and then they said it was at least 20, and that was by like Thursday.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, all of the doubters and the haters, the like I hate season 8 people.
Yeah,
they're like I'll never watch it ever again. Yeah, they all turned around.
Gotcha. Okay, one second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, here, it's Game of Thrones. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't have been opposed to it to say like, hey, just because I don't know. It's kind of like, so it was like interesting. The Uvalde shooting was like the weekend of Kenobi and Stranger Things, and oddly, Stranger Things put just a notice up. They just said like, hey, due to the recent events, you might find some of these things disturbing or whatever. Now, oddly, Kenobi did not do that. And Kenobi starts with a scene that includes a Jedi temple, a Jedi academy, and younglings.
Yeah.
Big shot. So, and like they chose not to do it, but it's, you know, it's like it's Star Wars, you know. Now I get it, especially because like, I mean, that scene was pretty crazy. I'm not going to lie. Like, it is still Game of Thrones. So like, you know, I don't know. I guess maybe people weren't expecting it or whatever. So I would not have been opposed with them doing it just because like, I don't know, childbirth and like women, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like, that's kind of that kind of targets. That is like sort of like a very specific audience and stuff like that. Like I wouldn't have been opposed to it. I don't necessarily think they needed to do it.
Yeah.
Then again, I've also never gone through an extreme childbirth. So
right, I was saying
we're really know or have, I guess, kind of the right to say like, you know, like yes or no is sort of how I feel about it. So if people who have gone through traumatic childbirth felt like it would have been helpful for them to have a warning, then I 100% can see your point.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. There was a lot of people, I mean, who were just sort of like, you know, outside. I mean, like once you had to just look away and then come back to once the action sort of picked back up or whatever. Because Lottie, for example, like the beginning, loved it. She flat out loved it. Got to that scene, was kind of like, I need to look away and step away for a second. And then I kind of gave her the thumbs up, you know, come back. And she was locked in the rest of the episode. So it just depends.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think the difference too is even though, you know, like, yes, there was also a scene in which some guy got his junk cut off, and there was, you know, like a scene where some guy got his face bashed in, and all of these things, of course, you know, do happen in real life. You know, there's tons of graphic violence and everything that does happen in our real life. I would say that like traumatic childbirths are something that definitely hits home, you know.
Oh, for sure.
Even though it's still a fantasy setting, right? Like that is something that we more so experience, you know. So like we know we're expecting these, you know, people to get their faces bashed in and everything. So
right.
Yeah. So any of the women that are upset by it, I hear you 100%. But I don't know. I guess I don't really see it as a big problem. But again, you know, I also have never given birth. So
Yeah, for sure. All right, switching. Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's one of those things. It's everyone else's call. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not getting paid to make that. I don't know, decision or whatever. So you got, All right. Quick little something a little controversial here. I just want to throw this up on the screen real quick. I went and got my drink. So we got about 15 minutes. And I just want to toss this up here because I ran a poll out there and I've been wondering.
Wow.
I've been wondering what people think about. I've been wondering, the Rings of Power. Is it coming? How what's going to happen? I mean, one record was broken last week. Matt, I'm simply doing this for YouTube content, my friend.
I know. Here's my thing.
Go ahead.
So I'm not anti Lord of the Rings. I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I love it. You and I are going to cover it.
Yeah.
Even before we saw episode 1 of House of the Dragon, I felt that Rings of Power was going to have a very difficult time just because I think Tolkien is harder to go back in time on. Really, this is like The Hobbit to Lord of the Rings because it's familiar place, familiar, not necessarily familiar characters, but it's okay, whatever, they chose to go with Rhaenyra Targaryen, and she is very similar to Daenerys right out of the gate. She's a dragon, Targaryen girl, vying for power, the whole deal.
Right. Yep.
I think that Rings of Power is I'm not saying it's going to be bad or anything because it looks really cool, but I think it's going to have an identity crisis, which is going to sort of hurt it. Just because what made, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings great was that it was a hero's journey, the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this could have that. We're going to need that sort of journey and, and everything. But I just think the difference was The Hobbit and Lord of the Ring, you can put in any setting and it works.
Yeah.
This show is more hey, our setting is what's really cool. And I just think it's going to kind of struggle with that.
Right. I think I'm laughing here because we got all these different comments coming in, people calling the Harfoots lick spittles. And I mean, this people again, I posed this question in a pro, House of the Dragon thing. So we will be covering it. I'll be covering it with my good buddy Lane on an unexpected podcast.
We're actually doing a ton of coverage of it. To be fair.
Yeah, because it is. I mean, to be fair, it is really going to be monumental flat. I mean, I don't the joke here is that is it going to hit those same numbers that this show hit? Probably not. Even if it does, is it going to last? What are the reviews, the critics, and all that kind of stuff? It's legacy and stuff. I was saying to you that I think a lot of the awards, though, I think both are going to be really award-winning shows. It's just kind of fun to have a friendly little competitiveness between the two, and so because they're totally different, right? Totally different audiences and stuff. I mean, just different ways in which they're going about stuff and everything. So it is the height, I would say, of the streaming wars. I mean, if
definitely.
Saying you wanted that.
And really quick, after watching episode 2, I mean, again, I don't know that it can compete with the other shows going on, but I am genuinely impressed by She-Hulk, just at least for the other shows that are going on.
Yeah, that are going on.
I also finished Umbrella Academy, and season 3 for me was it was just kind of okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And they did just get renewed for a final season 4, which I think is fine. However, okay, just so that quick aside out of the way. We had a comment up here saying that they got more from the name Rings of Power as to what this show is than any of the trailers. And I have to say,
I know
they did a trailer. I think it was earlier this week, or it was I don't know, but it was playing a modern song in it.
Yeah.
And I'm beginning to think that Rings of Power is going to be less Rivendell and more Riverdale.
Right.
So
I saw your tweet about that. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just feel like next we're gonna find out Gladriel's in high school, and
Riverdale's a good show, buddy. All right. Is it on the CW? I think Riverdale is it on the CW?
Yeah. It is.
People are saying, "How dare you insult Riverdale like that?"
Wow. Okay.
I'm kidding. No, I know that was. I was trying to think too, like why they did that, and then I was talking to Lane, and I recalled like now it was they didn't do it for promotional stuff, but they did have what's her name? She did all the ethereal kind of singing. Ed Sheeran did, that was all credits stuff where they did like a modern song and stuff. So I don't even know who that is or what that if that was designed for, if that's a modern song. I have no idea, but it was a little off-putting at first for a promotional thing. You expect that like in the credits as they're rolling or something, but yeah, interesting. So
I just don't know, man. And it didn't help that House of the Dragon came out so strong.
Oh yeah,
on episode 1,
right?
Where I was just like, oh man, and so I just I don't know. Now the big advantage that Rings of Power has is the subscriber base,
right? Yep.
Because Amazon, because you get Amazon Prime and you get to watch it. So, however, we did think that was going to help Wheel of Time.
Yeah,
and it didn't seem to help Wheel of Time as much as we thought it would.
Yeah. I think for them it was also good timing. Well, sort of good timing, just in terms of when it was coming out and it being the most streamed or whatever new show or something like they said. But then you got to the end and it was sort of like really I think all of these shows, again, Game of Thrones is awesome, but the big beef people have is season 8. So it's like House of the Dragon is awesome so far, episode 1.
Well,
I only see it continuing.
House of the Dragon is starting to be the Mandalorian to season 8's Star Wars sequels.
Yeah, which is great, and I think people are really renewed in terms of their just how they feel about the universe, the Westeroverse that's being built.
There's a question for you as a big Star Wars fan.
Mm-hmm.
More beneficial. Which do you think? I guess it's easier to look, although Game of Thrones seems like it's already in such great graces. See, when Rise of Skywalker hit, Mandalorian was going on.
Yeah.
So you had an immediate, like, okay, we're in good graces here.
Yeah.
Whereas with Game of Thrones, we had to wait a few years. But now it feels like it kind of puts that in a little more distant memory. Mm-hmm. As opposed to Star Wars, which were like, dude, look how much better the Mandalorian is, because it was like literally next, like it was coming out as Rise of Skywalker was coming out.
Yeah, that's great. I always forget about that because we're sort of like, okay, this had a bad taste in our, like Rise of Skywalker did, and then instantly you're like, you can cover that taste. You didn't have to sit with that for as long, which I think for Star Wars is a good. That was really, really, really good, because I think had people sat around and gotten real super sour on this, they might not have hopped right back in or even been ready to go on the Mandalorian. I don't know, but I'm surprised though. Like so many people have come back and so many people have messaged us and said, guys, I was out, haven't listened to you guys since like, I don't know, the summer after season 8, and they're back in. So that's really cool. Really cool.
Hold on. God, man. Is the balcony over which King Viserys is getting his wound treated the same balcony from which Tommen killed himself? It might be.
Ridiculous.
I love it.
What is wrong with people? Yeah. Gurm is very involved in this production, which is huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He said that. He actually, shout out to History of Westeros, who did an interview, and I watched most of that interview, and he said that. He is like, he felt like his involvement was, he was like, I was watching it like you guys towards the end. I didn't know what was going on. He didn't know.
Yeah.
So this is different, which is great.
Yeah, a little bit of sort of Warner Brothers news here, as to, because remember a few weeks ago when they did the whole Warner Brothers HBO Max shareholder meeting, and they were saying, like, remember they sort of came out and said, hey, we're like taking a big step back in animation. Now, obviously, like Cartoon Network and stuff like that, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was really shocked actually when George said that all of the animation projects they were working on were continuing. So they're actually shopping a Batman project right now, and a Batman cartoon to like Netflix and some of these other things. So don't be surprised if some of these animated projects George has talked about, say, come out on Netflix or something else.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Which actually, to be honest, if anybody were to do any of the Game of Thrones animated projects, I actually think Netflix would actually be better than Warner Brothers.
Yeah. So why would that happen? What's the deal again? So
you can license. So you see that a lot where companies license out their shows, and then or they do it in projects. So like Ted Lasso, for example, is a Warner Brothers show. It's on Apple TV.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So actually, because Netflix's animation, they've done actually really good stuff with the animated, like they did that Witcher animation thing. All of the like video game stuff they've touched, like Castlevania, was really good. So I actually kind of feel like they would actually be better to handle like a Yeti or Ice Dragon animated project, which George has sort of said would be better.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And cool. Michael here comment. Yeah, it could be like this happens too, where Warner Brothers like produces it. It's just streamed on Netflix. So like that happens too. Or sometimes they say, hey, you can use our intellectual property and do whatever you want with it. But,
right.
Which is actually the real way to make money, because then it's like you just license it out and you just sit there and collect the check and then you own it. And, it's like a 70-30 deal, but you sit there on that 30 and it's sweet.
Matt, question here. Because I don't know anything about it. Well, I don't think is the episode out? Hold on. Let me go.
Everyone's saying yes, it is. So we will get it going here.
What?
Now, remember, we are not airing the episode. We cannot do that.
Right. Come on, people. Yeah. Still 4 minutes. I'm not seeing it here on my end, but I'm gonna keep refreshing here. Let's see. So the original trilogy, is that who owned what? Where for the Lord of the Rings? Sorry, I'm just looking. I'm scrolling through here and looking on HBO Max, and I just found it. I didn't realize it was.
Okay, I've got mine set to go.
Yours is up.
Yep. And now remember, we'll see everybody else who wants to watch it, and we will get it going. Yes, Eric, Netflix does great anime. That's why I'm actually very hopeful. I think the Mad King said burn while he was talking about the White Walkers. He very well could have been. Yeah, it's a shame the D&D couldn't just let go when they were burned out. Yes, Gurm wanted 10 seasons. That might be what Snow is. So as I'm ready. Now remember, we'll get the timer up, and we are not skipping ads, and we will obviously not be skipping the intro. So we can all press play at the same time. As I will give you a countdown, my friend.
Yeah. Let's get this. Let's get the comment here. Quick.
We'll do a 5 count, and then it's going to be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On one, right? Not like paper, rock, scissors, shoot, or any of that stuff.
So right, exactly.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, so we got the timer here. Let me get my windows situated here so I can see everybody and get the chat going here at the same time. Boom, I can see the chat. Okay, my friend. So yeah, I have. Does it say 126 for you, like a minute 26 for like the advertisement or whatever?
Oh, I don't know. Mine's all like zeros.
Oh, okay. So let's just go. Let's just roll with it. Mine looks like it has like an ad in front of it. It's fine.
Okay. Give me a count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I think I've got a little bit of an ad here, but we're not skipping the ad, just so that way we're all sort of on the same page.
Okay.
Well, this show looks kind of okay. Is it giving you the same ad?
I don't think so. Mine's like a recap or something.
Huh. Well, that's weird. Mine just showed me some ad for some show called Industry. Oh, who knows?
Let me know when you
go.
To recap.
I'm on the recap right now.
Oh, okay. It just started?
Yeah.
Okay. That's weird. It's showing some people an ad and some people not.
Dude, Corliss Valerian knows what's up. If those shipping lanes fall, it's going to be a big deal.
True.
Did you see the comparisons of the tourney in Game of Thrones compared to the tourney at this one?
Gosh, this recap's great because that last episode was sick.
So good.
Oh, dude, it does this whole thing where it like, what? Hold on a second, Matt. Son of a gun.
Yeah, the episode leaked like yesterday, but we just do a live watch party.
Did you get through the recap?
I'm still in it. I think I had a longer ad or something. It's fine.
I think it stops, and I think we might have to restart because it's kind of like. See, let me know if it stops after the recap, and we'll just restart the timer.
Nope, I just got the HBO logo. Let's go.
Oh, you went right in, baby. Okay, cool.
Yeah. The new intro. Let's go. It's so sick.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so we're both on the intro here. This is good.
Skip intro as if.
Ba-da-da.
Now I can't wait to binge this show.
Yeah.
I mean, why change perfection?
No reason to. No,
they could just run the intro for an hour. Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, it's you and I said it, man. It's Star Wars, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
why would you change?
Don't mess with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Targaryen bloodline.
We're gonna have to break down this intro because there's a crap ton of stuff they're showing us.
Oh yeah, and then there's like the thing he's building, which is like Valyria or whatever.
Yeah,
it's back.
Yeah.
Now, do you think they should have just done that next week or last week?
Last week.
I feel like people would have lost their minds.
Yeah.
Ooh, the crabs, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that guy's still.
Oh, look how gorgeous this shot is, though.
Huh.
Oh, she was on time. Get this maester out of here. Let's go. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Let's go.
Oh, that's. Oh.
Oh.
Oh, but. Oh, hold on.
Ooh, so she's gonna
Oh,
pick
Hightower started that crap, bro. Oh. She's going to choose what?
She's gonna choose Kristen Cole.
Oh, boy.
Shut up, Otto. Seriously. Yeah, there's that map room. Or at least when Cersei's there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, but it would be poacher to justice.
Mm-hmm.
Boring. She's it's like next.
Oh, boy.
Oh, here we go. There we go. Beat your uncle in combat.
Mm-hmm.
Good to hear Houston Darian again.
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm gonna say this. Tywin Lannister, Otto Hightower is not.
Yeah. Yeah, not yeah. I don't. Yeah. He's in a different position though.
Right. Uh-oh. Look at his finger.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm. Yep.
Laying it on thick. Well, sounds like they're a little
What kind of
right.
talks we talking about here?
Did you see the meme that was floating around the internet when she's like walking in with the book and somebody wrote on there like how to forget your ex?
Oh my. Wow.
God, look at this set. Uh-oh. Notice how she's wearing green.
Yeah.
They're setting it up already.
Crap ton of candles.
I don't think she prays to the 7.
Mm-hmm.
What a cool shot.
Yeah. This is cool.
It's good. You got it. Episode 1 was high, high energy. You got to have a
You got to bring her down.
Exposition, build.
Yep. These two are fantastic. They're doing a great job. I was worried about them a little bit, but man, they're killing it.
Oh no. Is that the stranger that they're praying to?
Don't know.
The sets could be digital. HBO's new too. They could be. The lighting in this show is so much better than Game of Thrones was.
Mm-hmm.
But 5 years of technology upgrades will do that.
Yeah.
Ooh. See Rainey's when he said that the first in its history. Let's go.
He knows what's up, man. He's
Uh-oh.
oh boy. Oh
She's
boy.
like really young. So people can match the time. That's why is there a counter?
Mm.
So you can watch with us. We're all watching at the same time. Yeah, see, like in Game of Thrones, this shot would have been so much darker.
Yeah.
But it still has that like atmosphere.
Look at them goblets. Those, I mean, I want those are
like a dragon goblet.
Everything about it is sick.
Cheating a date, man. I better go get one.
Backstabbing son of a God.
Ew. Ugh.
Dude, what is going on?
They're putting leeches on it, man.
Yeah,
or
dude.
Worms or. Ooh, that is not. Ugh. Have we read the books? Yes. How long does he have to leave his finger in there?
They gotta eat, bro. They gotta eat. Otto is playing a different game, dude.
Oh, dude. He goes about it in such a different way too than like Tywin's just owns everybody. He's much more of like a backstabber.
Oh my!
Dude, she's like she looks like she's like 8. You can see how uncomfortable he is.
It's a pretty big deal, though.
Yeah, he's more Littlefinger than Tywin. The king needs a vacation. Ugh. Oh, dude. Like, he's doing a good job. Like, they're doing a good job with it, though. Even being like, ugh.
Yeah.
Because I remember I listened to some of the earlier reviews and they were talking about that. It did not come across as creepy as weird as it was still weird, but not as weird as they made it seem.
Right.
Yeah, yikes. They in you.
Oh my! The chat's insane tonight.
I love it. Ooh, let's go. Ooh. Yeah, she's actually like your one good friend.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Danny said. Oof. Ooh.
Dang.
Yeah, she's got to learn that.
Oh.
It's back.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Isn't that isn't that his niece?
Yeah, dude, Allison has done nothing wrong. You know,
As
she is just, you know.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
Uh huh.
I think Allison's wearing green. Oh, it's a new bird. No, that's blue. That's definitely a blue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is it yellow? Is it blue?
Is it black, gold? Oh.
She's just spending like all day with him. She's like his personal assistant, or.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
Oh yeah.
Dad just walked in.
Whatever. He's hoping for it. That's a lot of food just going to waste.
Yep.
Ooh, Damon.
Say what?
What? Let's go.
A second wife. Oh boy. We're pulling out technicalities here.
Well, yeah, her dragon's egg. Dream fires. Ooh. How does Otto Hightower walk out of this alive?
Wow. I mean, respect, dude. I don't know. Like I'm it's a dangerous game, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, the fingernails. Maybe Otto's not such a bad guy. Kristen Cole.
I mean,
Back to Dragonstone.
Yeah.
Now, is that the cave with all the obsidian in it?
That's pretty important. Oh boy.
I'd have to suck to walk that thing all the time. Dude. They're like, oh god. So crispy.
Wow.
Oh. Uh-oh.
What was that about? Whoa. Yep. I think that's what we call a checkmate. Oh boy.
Is the episode out? Yes, we're all watching it.
What?
Oh, that's not the only dragon.
Oh my god. She don't mess around.
Yeah, she wants her dragon egg.
Okay. It's pretty awesome. Not gonna lie. It's pretty great intro there. Let's just step aside.
Let's go.
One day. Oh, boy.
One day. She does not want to be his wife, and ooh. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. He's got a new plan. Oh, boy. All right.
Dude, look at those guys that are like burned and yeah. Yep, Otto's realizing he's gonna have to do something else because he's outmatched.
Well, for now. Are
we gonna get to see like the painted table and
Mazaria's mad, dude.
she'll get over it.
Something's up.
Where's the painted table? Is it in a different room, or maybe that's not the same room?
Yeah, don't know.
No, that must be like her room.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, he's happy to get his little figurine back.
Mm-hmm.
bozo. Plan B. Yeah, exactly. Well, my ass 8, maybe. Yeah, that's what she feels. It looks like. Here's the dagger.
Here comes Otto. Nope. Okay.
Uh-oh.
She's a dragon rider, buddy. I mean,
dang straight, man. Be a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh. She knows.
She's just not expecting the who, buddy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Do you think they were going to move on at this fast?
No.
I thought it was going to be like 3 to 4 episodes in.
Right. Oh boy, he's made up his mind.
Corliss is all. Let's not Hightower.
Oh,
look at
God.
her. Look at her. She's picking her nails too.
Oh. Oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That's true. They just put Corliss in his place.
Whoa.
Oh! Otto Hightower.
Whoa. Okay. Okay. Awkward meeting.
Yeah. That look that Otto Hightower gave Corliss Valerian was like moment of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, ugh. Oh. Is we gonna meet the Crab King?
Yep.
Let's go. And so it begins. Yeah. Mm.
Oh boy.
Should we do the preview for next week or?
Yeah, let's just keep watching till
I'm just gonna skip ahead. It's past the credits. I'm gonna go ahead and watch the thing.
Okay.
Whoa, time jump. Wow, next week's looks sick. Oh, dude, next week looks awesome. Woo! Okay. All right.
Wow.
Well, let's go ahead and get him in here. Get her going. I'm gonna leave that tagline up here as I hit the intro here real quick for the podcast. Hello and welcome to Bend the Knee, a Song of Ice and Fire podcast. I am Sir Matt, the Bud Knight.
And I am Ser Ezra, the Watchful. And friends, we are back with episode 2. And we're also back with our good friend, Sir Jimmy from the Fantasy Nuttwork. How's it going, my friend?
I mean, I just finished the second episode of House of the Dragon, so I'm doing pretty good. I need I don't know. I need a minute. I didn't get to watch the post-credit stuff. I watched you guys watch it.
Yeah.
So I missed it. So apparently there's a time jump next week. Is that what it looks like?
Yeah. So the preview for next week, which I don't actually want to go too in detail, just in case some people who are listening to the podcast don't necessarily want it spoiled because they want to watch it fresh. But yeah, it does look like we are gonna start getting some of the bigger time jumps. And, I think it's pretty safe to say, just in what you saw by the end of this episode, War of the Stepstones next week is at least beginning, because there were some sick shots in there. And we are going to have to figure out how we cover that, because I am getting married next week. And Jimmy Nez will be here in Portland for that episode. So we're going to figure that out. We still have to figure out exactly how we're going to cover that episode. It might just be the next day. We record something in the morning. And then it goes up same day. But nonetheless, we are here to talk about episode 2, the Rogue Prince. So, guys, episode 1, it's kind of hard to compare episode 2 to episode 1, because episode 1 wasn't just a great episode. It was sort of a showcase of, this is what Game of Thrones is. This is what this show is going to be. Game of Thrones is back. This felt more like a episode 2 or 3 of a season 1 through 4 to 5 of Game of Thrones. But we need it. You've got to start fleshing out these characters a little bit more, doing some building some suspense, giving us plot points that are going to pay off later. So that's what this was, because I saw some people saying, oh, there wasn't as much action. Well, if you really go back and watch Game of Thrones, not every episode was like loaded with,
the entire first season.
action. No. Yeah.
In fact, the one big action point in the first book is cut from the show because they didn't have the budget. So Tyrion just gets knocked out before the battle even starts. So
yeah, exactly. But no, I thought the episode was good. I'm at like a solid 8. I felt like, for me, solid 8 out of 10, just because episode 1 was a 10 out of 10, and then to try to compare it to episodes of Game of Thrones, boom, solid. This is like an 8. This is like an 8 out of 10, which is, on Game of Thrones standards, is a very good episode. Man, some good moments for me really quick before I pass it on. I think the moments that stuck out to me the most was Rhaenys and Rhaenyra talking, and Rhaenys offering that like sound advice of like, hey, just so you know, they don't want a woman on the throne, no matter what you kind of think is the case. Just be ready. It actually kind of reminds me a little bit of, you go back to Game of Thrones and like Cersei offering advice even to Sansa early on, like, just so you know, this is the way things work, regardless of what you believe in your stories and your songs. this is the way it actually works.
Yeah. Jimmy, what did you think, man? I mean, big takeaways.
I actually thought this episode was better than the first one. So the first one has more of the glitz and the glamour that we came to love in like the later seasons and showing off of the budget. But I thought this was way more of the feel of like earlier Game of Thrones. I really, really enjoyed female agency was explored here as a theme in the second episode because Massaria, totally different than the books, by the way. But we see her getting a lot more agency in the story, her wanting to be with Daemon for protection, not to fear. We see Rhaenyra take the reins figuratively and literally and kind of step into her own and start showing that she is a player in the Game of Thrones. And then on top of that, obviously Rhaenys is there. And then Alicent doing her thing. Like it's interesting because there's like, you can see now that Rhaenyra is kind of being warned not to play this game, and she's going for it. And then a lot of the other women in the episode were being used for other people's, advantages or in a position where they didn't have power. So I just thought like a lot of the stuff that came from the female perspectives was really, really good in this episode. And I think it's starting to kind of get into the main theme of the Dance with Dragons or the dance rather. But I think the coolest thing was the crab stuff. I mean, the crab stuff, I was wondering how they pull it off. It's like straight out of like a horror movie. I thought it was awesome. So like from an actual visual standpoint, that the dragon landing on the bridge behind. That was amazing. It was phenomenal. So I was just really impressed with the episode overall for, having very little action. I thought the intensity was there. And this is the stuff that I really enjoyed from the earlier seasons of Game of Thrones. But we can talk more. I won't take up any more time, but I do think that there's some significant differences between this and Game of Thrones. And now we're starting to hit that. There are two different shows completely. And I don't mean canon and all this shit. I just mean like literally how it's done is going to be totally different. But I thought this was actually better than the first episode.
Yeah. So I guess just to kind of echo what you guys are saying, I thought it was awesome. That was great. The several of our chats blown up, by the way. Shout out to all of them there. But the intensity, everyone's saying like the intensity was still there, and the intensity was there in dialogue, like these lines, or the even just in the acting and in the looks, right? Mm-hmm. Just in Otto Hightower's look. Matt brought it up in the episode. This look, this sort of a checkmate to Corlys Velaryon, gaze, because early on as we're watching it, Matt was bringing up Tywin a little bit, and we're thinking like, okay, these guys who play the game, there's different ways to play it, right? Like kind of keeping everybody in the dark. What are you doing? And it's very, very subtle. It feels very natural. So anyways, I mean, I think Otto Hightower is, I don't know, like he, again, they're showing that how powerful dragons are, and we understand what he's setting up here is access to dragons for House Hightower, essentially. You know what I mean? Like he's like, I can play that game too. Watch me use my daughter to do that very thing. I mean, it's twisted and crazy, but that is literally what's up. That's what's happening. So I felt like just the intensity in terms of these moments, or even Rhaenyra, going to her uncle, and just the various, like the dialogue was so good. It's so rich and it's so intense. And there's also they let, moments sort of, linger. They let the intensity, the atmosphere kind of get, I don't know, like it's electric. And you can feel it watching it. Because Matt, multiple times during our reaction, we're sitting there, we're just like, like we're reacting to just a line delivered by a character. And it's, I don't know, I think it's a great indicator of a pretty well-written episode.
Yeah, a lot of the power in this episode came from the non-spoken lines of like Alicent looking up at Rhaenyra at the end of the episode. The swords coming out on the bridge at Dragonstone.
Yeah.
So tense. I think Otto Hightower and Daemon's interactions are just peak this show right now. Like I really do believe that. Like I think that those are my two favorite people on screen at one time.
Yeah, and let me just for the sake of for the people who are saying, man, there's no action. So this graph actually shows number of words per minute for each episode of Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 8. And it goes down and down and down and down and down. Okay. Well, so if you think like peak Game of Thrones is really like season 4 and stuff like that, and then it just gets lower and lower and lower. And then that big bottom drop right there is actually the long night episode, because it's like an hour. It's like it's the whatever. It's like just an hour and a half battle scene, which was awesome. But as you can see, right, like I mean, the data shows that the more dialogue, really, in terms of how what was peak Game of Thrones, the better it was. So I was totally fine with it being a more dialogue heavy episode. You got it. That's how you build it, and that's what makes those action scenes that much better.
Well, Gurm's involvement too really helps. You can almost like feel it. I mean, he's looking over scripts. That's the thing he's been talking about a lot, is that he's looking over. He looked over multiple scripts, and I feel like, again, they do have the Fire and Blood to sort of pull from. We've actually heard direct quotes from that. I mean, Damon last episode and so on. So it feels really good, and I think you're right. Like, we have to have this. To me, most is I guess we're talking about the throne, the Iron Throne, and we're talking about an heir, and we're back to this political kind of maneuvering, and so that's done through politics or gestures or alliances or whatever, and so a lot of that comes in through dialogues, which is great. But then you have these epic moments like Jimmy said, when you have the dragon showing up, and I mean, just, I don't know, things I didn't expect, like things that you're sort of like, what's Otto thinking showing up here, and then Rhaenyra does her thing. It's just it was subtle, it was enough, it had its moments, it was really good, and I'm really pleased. I think we all kind of expected an episode where it wasn't going to be super, like war heavy,
So that's coming. That's coming next episode.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of that.
Right. Right.
So let's go back just a little bit in the episode, because something I have been hammering about, that I wanted, and we got it, and I was so pleased. We actually saw the leak. I got it last night. I was like, guys, in our group chat, I was like, guys, the episode intro has leaked. And Jimmy was like, Matt, all caps, I'm super drunk, send it. And so sent it, and we were all just like, oh my God, it's back. What do you guys think about it, man? What do you think about the new intro? I love it. I absolutely freaking love it. I'm so glad, as I've talked about it, that I'm so glad that they used the same song, because if you're trying to build this like Star Wars type thing, which Gurm has said he wants to do, Star Wars, it all starts a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Boom, the song hits. And why would you change it? And that's where I'm at on this intro.
Yeah, and the visuals are updated and really, really cool. I've seen some people already breaking down what it actually is showing, but I can't remember it off the top of my head because I've read a million things this week about this show. But I was glad they stuck with the original intro. It's arguably the most monumental opening to a show ever. You're never going to top it.
Yeah.
So just use it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason not to. And so it was cool to see the same, animation and everything. And I think you're right, Jimmy. I was looking as we started. I told Matt, I was like, we're going to have to go. I watched it, but I was watching my phone. I wasn't really like stopping and like looking or whatever. But as I watched it the second time, I was like, wow, there's all sorts of little, I don't know, like sigils on like engraved into the wall.
It's a family tree. It's the Targaryen family tree.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the family tree, and it's blood that's running down. If I looked at some things earlier, people who were breaking it down, and they were saying like the first thing you see is like the doom of Valyria, and then continues on, and you get like Aenys and Megor and stuff like that.
Dude, we got some Valyria, Doom of Valyria talk in the show too to this episode. I was very ecstatic to hear that.
Yeah, that's good when you can go back to like their roots, the lore, and even at the end, right? We got like Corlys and stuff talking about the dragon lords versus how his family sort of almost had more. I mean, there was almost more history, right, for that family. So
crazy. Yeah, everyone in the chat saying intro was amazing, and I agree with you, Jimmy. It's definitely, for me, I mean, I think, them choosing to use the same song, it's just so iconic. I mean, it is up there with like the most. I'm gonna look outside of this, but I mean, when you just talk about all of television, there's definitely intros to shows that are just sort of so iconic. Like say like The Simpsons, for example. I mean, like everyone's seen it. You know exactly what it is. It's like it's super iconic, and there's other ones as well. But I mean, it's in that same breath of some of like the best intros of all of television. Everyone knows what it is. So I think it has that same sort of feel to it. It actually, to me, feels a little bit closer to like season 8's, because all the other ones, you know, and season 8 was the map as well, but season 8's intro at least was kind of cool and unique because like the wall had finally fell and then it like went inside like King's Landing and like through the crypts and stuff.
Yeah.
So it definitely felt a little bit more like that.
Yeah, I agree. I was glad that they switched it up and still made it feel its own. But like they already have a ton of tasks to like, you know, kind of get people back on board from season 8 and then just be a great show. Like those are hard challenges. So like, why not take the free W? Take the best intro of all time for myself,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
perfection, right?
Yeah, I mean,
like, essentially, right?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So I guess, you know, like we want to kind of comb through because there's so many good scenes. There's so many good things that were done early on. As I'm kind of like scrubbing back through here. I mean, the lighting, the candle scene, you know, the whole situation there. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous, right? This thing was, Matt, you said early on, like the lighting for this was
I feel like the lighting, well, and cinematography in general, you know, one of the things Game of Thrones did, and on one hand, it's a little bit of the product of the time. I don't mean like medieval, I mean like 2012.
Yeah,
but there was this sort of thing going on you saw it a lot in video games, but which also resulted it being in movies and other stuff, where there was this sort of like, go back and look at a lot of movies and games and everything that came out around like 2012, 2013. And for whatever reason, everyone really loved this sort of like brown color palette for everything, and like gray and like a green, almost as if you put like a filter over it. And here everything feels much more vibrant, right? Like the colors seem to pop more.
Yeah, the palette's way better in House of the Dragon. I'd agree.
And I think in one hand, there's so much about that I actually love, because it's also like, this is the height of the Targaryen dynasty, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in Game of Thrones, like they destroyed the Targaryen dynasties. Robert sort of let the realm run to shambles. War is breaking out. And I think that it kind of works for that too.
Yeah.
So I love both, but I do just love more of the vibrancy here.
You're right.
And some of that's technology now too. Yeah. Cameras and everything.
That's a good point though, Matt. It makes a lot of sense. It is this sort of peak moment for them, I guess, from Aegon's conquest on, and where they're really coming off the reign of the old king, and things are good. You know, this is right before the dance where they're going to lose. Spoiler: a lot of stuff's going to go down. And you have a lot of dragons. They have a lot of dragons. They're in power, and so it's like a bright, vibrant feel, you know. But like you said, it's also just an increase in technology. But it's so good. It's so well shot. And I think our friend Ryan is in here. Sir Ryan was also saying, like, you know, the candle. We got candles all over the place. They're just using lighting really well, and it's also like you've got intense scenes going on, but you've also got well lit stuff. All the props look good. We were talking about the food and the goblets of wine, and it's on another level, you know?
Oh yeah. And another big thing from the original show to this that I'm noticing is that we still have a ton of characters. We still have a major conflict. However, we're not jumping to Essos as much. We're not going to Flea Bottom with Tyrion. So a lot of it is happening right in court. And I do think that makes it feel like a little bit of a smaller scoped show. So you're really seeing like scene to scene to scene, whereas in Game of Thrones, there was a variety of that. And I think that's kind of a challenge in some ways, but that's why this is such a different show. That's why I said earlier, like, I feel like this is just a much different show. And it's just because of like it happening pretty much all at court. It's way more of a political drama.
Well, like you said, so Viserys, right? You would see a scene with him with one character, and then you'd bounce to another scene. Well, there's Viserys again, but with a different character. So we're not really moving like around a whole lot. And you're right. It's different. It's a different type of scope or scale. And I think it's going to, right? I mean, we know that it's going to expand or whatever, but you've got a real good drama going on with the small council and within the Targaryen family itself. So I feel like, and they've done a really a good job with that, with the intensity. They're like here at King's Landing and then just off, down to Dragonstone. They've kept the intensity very intense. You've got different players on the small council doing their thing. Corlys Velaryon is bringing it. Like everything he says is almost like this challenge, but also he has the family heritage. They've got the money, the power, the fleet. So you can really feel the weight of that character when he speaks to the king, or when he makes these proposals, or when he's affronted. It's, I mean, again, a very fascinating way to kind of build it, keep it small, but at the same time, the stakes are very big. They're large. There's war, like in the Stepstones. There's, I mean, they make it feel like, I never felt like when I was reading Fire and Blood that Rhaenyra early on like that was in such peril, or that the king felt like she could be lost in that way. So
that's right.
That was cool. You know, it was good to see.
In fact, I would say that's a difference. Fire and Blood makes it seem like their relationship is super healthy. It's kind of glanced over, said, hey, he loved her, he named the heir, and then it kind of went on. But now we're seeing, obviously we're getting a lot more of the details fleshed out. Let me ask you this, Ez, because I see people saying, I saw someone say in the chat, and I'm curious as well. This show's very serious, and I knew it was last episode, but I was curious of what like the second episode would do. There's not that comic relief that we saw in Game of Thrones. And I am actually okay with this. I don't actually think it calls for humor, especially to break some of these scenes that are so tense, because we got a lot to cover. Like this show's got to move. So I don't like forced humor. And Fire and Blood itself didn't have a ton of humor, unless if it was Mushroom, which Mushroom, from what we know, is supposed to be in the background at some point.
Right.
Okay.
He's not going to be a main character. But do you feel? Are you feeling that lack of humor, and does it bother you, or do you think it's fine?
Until you brought it up right now, I hadn't really felt that, and I guess Tyrion is such an odd that brings all of that just in his character and the dynamic level at which he performs and everything. It's just Peter Dinklage is amazing. Yeah. So I think in the first episode, as crazy as this sounds, I mean, Daemon being with the gold cloaks provides that, like in a whorehouse, is sort of that. We're all kind of chuckling like, oh, there's Game of Thrones again. And that was just enough to get people like, okay, kind of, I don't know, move it, like grinning or whatever. And then, so, I mean, it was a roller coaster last episode in terms of like, thinking that was kind of funny to like real intense pregnancy scene, and then real intense like stuff with the gold cloaks and them going out and sort of asserting their dominance and stuff like that. So, I don't really feel like I'm sure it will come here and there, but I'm with you. Like when you force it and you feel like you need to put a character in like that, that
because then you get Bronn again, and Bronn was shoehorned in those last few seasons, and I felt it was awkward. So I actually don't believe we need any humor. And there is, and people are saying, hey, there was a little bit of humor. I know, but I'm saying, I mean, Game of Thrones, it was way more overt.
Right.
This is like kind of like, that grim humor, like where Daemon kind of laughs at Kristen Cole,
Good exactly.
There's a little bit there. So I think that that's enough. I actually think that we should maintain the kind of attitude that the show has now throughout. I don't really need the Mushroom or anything else. I would love Mushroom to be in it, but you know what I mean?
Well, I think though too, like it just feels like, especially this time period in this piece and what's happening is that there's just the intensity will just build to the point where it's just, you guys know what's going to happen. It's going to be absolute, craziness. So they've already done a great job of capturing that tension. And I feel like this is ridiculous. I can't believe I'm the guy actually saying this right now, but sometimes that release of tension will come at certain points in different ways. I can't believe I was the guy who had to make that comment. But anyway, what I'm saying? So it's crazy that that's probably what they're doing. And I'm with you. I hope there's not some character who comes in as just super funny or super, I don't know, just to kind of throw it at us or whatever. And I don't think there will be though, right? I don't feel that.
No, I don't feel that's going to happen at all. It'll be interesting. It'll be
some trash talk. I mean, some trash talk is good to kind of lighten the mood or whatever, which I like that from
it'll come.
Yeah. I don't care if it doesn't though. Like I don't think it needs it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Real quicker, I don't want to necessarily shift gears too far here, but I saw this comment I wanted to, and then it caused me to look just a little bit down a rabbit hole here. Daniel saying very impressed with the dialogue too, given it's all being created from scratch on this one, which is true. Is that this is different than a Game of Thrones where you have the direct source material. as opposed to here you're inferring stuff. And that's honestly what makes it kind of cool. We talked about this last week was, you read World of Ice and Fire and Fire and Blood, your two sort of history books on this subject, and all it says is that Emma Aaron dies in childbirth.
Yeah,
we didn't know, whoa, that Viserys is kind of involved. That has to make a decision, and she's like scared and freaking out, and so like that's kind of cool. And the same thing, we're getting some of that context, here.
And a lot of changes.
And then I have another little direction I want to go with, but if you guys want to hit that, then we can go down this.
Just real quick. So like on that note of trying to come up with dialogue or whatever and things that are, they have to kind of make up. Like, I guess I never saw what, in Fire and Blood, you didn't get a sense that Alicent Hightower was being this forced into this or being used in this way. You know what I mean? Like, it's awkward. There's a lot of awkwardness that we're seeing on screen. And it's weird. Like even the Laenor stuff, like you read it and we don't have visuals for these characters necessarily. And this, the chat was blowing up when is it Lena? What's it? Is it
Lena?
Lena. Yeah, I said Lena. When she shows up and says that somebody said she was like 12, or he says she's 12, right? And somebody was like,
she looks like she's 8. I thought she looked like
8. Dude. I mean, it was pretty ridiculous. But like, so seeing these things kind of come up and seeing the dialogue and seeing the look on Viserys' face and just hearing what is said and what her mother said to her, it's great. They're doing a really good job of taking the spirit or taking things that weren't there and adding in, like, what would that be like for Viserys? What would that be like for Corlys or for Rhaenys? And like, you're getting that sense. It's coming through in dialogue and it's coming through in all the acting that we're seeing, which is, it's awkward as all get out, but it's also totally Game of Thrones. And it's cool.
Yeah, the actress playing Rhaenyra really did an amazing job this episode, especially when they were praying. Like, really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, just one, because I was watching some of the behind, they were I saw it on Twitter because they're sharing some of the behind the scenes stuff, and they were talking sort of about like COVID protocols and stuff like that, how this sort of impacted some of the show's filming. And they said that what they had to do for the scene last week with the tourney, right, was you could actually only filmed like people just doing like their own thing, but that it sort of green screen them and then like populate them all inside the tourney itself. Like as in Star Wars, how they did a lot of miniature work and stuff like that, where they said normally we would just go get like X amount of extras and just fill the seats, but they're like, with COVID we can't do that and everything. So it's kind of getting me down this path of like, man, this show looks so good already, and it feels like just such like a big production. Next season, which was just renewed by they just, of course, obviously we knew it was going to come, but you still have to announce it, because then once it's greenlit, you get to go into you could actually sign contracts and hire people and all these things.
Yeah.
So like, how much better, right, is season 2 just going to look in terms of everything when you don't have these COVID restrictions? They've said it's going to have a bigger budget, and now it's officially greenlit.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, what's even more amazing is the fact that like season 7 and 8 definitely kind of rested its crown on the visuals, right? Like visually stunning, both 7 and 8 were, but it lacked the substance. Whereas this show looks even better, in my opinion, and they have so many little subtle things added, like the Viserys dropping the dragon figure and it breaking, signifying a lot of things that could come, in his path forward, and then her Alicent bringing it back to him, and like little things like that. And it just so I've been looking up here while you guys have been talking. One of the advantages we talked about before this show even came out was you have the advantage of when you're making Game of Thrones, like the original show in season 1, all this stuff is new. You have to build the sets, you have to come up with the CGI. How are we going to do everything? So then by the time you get to season 8, it's like, you have teams in place, you've worked with people for years and years and years. So when this show comes out, you've got still a lot of these props, you've got all the stuff. I'm looking actually through the list here, and like so many of the crew, like when you look at like this guy right here, Barry Best, okay, he is a prosthetic mold maker. He worked on all of Game of Thrones.
He was like, and so it's like now that you have this guy who's got the experience, he did Stranger Things, it's like, and he's doing all of House of the Dragons. So I mean, if he's here's
continuity,
right? Chris Lyons, who's like special effects teeth, which you're like, okay, whatever, but like he worked on all of Game of Thrones, so you have a lot. You brought back, like the directors and the actors and everything are different, but it's just one of the things where we talked about, like, Ramin Djawadi coming back and doing the music. It's what causes it to have this feel. And I feel like even now seeing episode 2, like the weight of like the Game of Thrones universe that they're building here just helps amplify everything. Just like you were saying, Jimmy, like, the marble, all the attention to detail. It's because you've got a lot of the same like cameramen and a lot of the same other people who all worked on Game of Thrones. So it's just like you're at such a better position. And I think we're seeing it every second because this show is just so visually stunning.
Yeah, I mean all the shots, and like you said, so if they're going to build out this Westeros verse, you bring in other people around these guys who were there from the beginning, start training them. They're working under them. They then move into these other shows or whatever. Like, it's smart. I mean, it's smart because people, how people are, right? They're going to be analyzing the teeth on the dragon. They're going to be analyzing the scales. They're going to be analyzing the armor and all of it, right? So when you have nothing there to kind of say, oh, look at that, right? You're then just nothing stands out at you. That's like off or wrong or whatever, feels weird, and so you're like just locked in the story. Nothing takes you out of it, so that's good. That's a great move. And because then the story, as Jimmy was saying too, is so like there's such I don't know, intrigue in what these characters are saying to one another, and there's just a lot of substance, right? So whereas we were talking like season 8 and the dialogue going down and what's really happening and the stakes or whatever, it's crazy because the stakes actually feel really high in this. I mean, I know they were high in season 8. I know there was, again, the Night King and everything, but I don't know. It just feels really, really high, really, really intense. Even though this is just like some, skirmish out here. It's not really. It's less about the skirmish on the Stepstones and really who's going out to deal with it and what that means symbolically. And so
yeah. And I see some things in the chat about secondary characters and stuff too. They'll get fleshed out. I mean,
but we had 8 seasons with the other ones. You gotta
right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, true.
Corlys Velaryon in episode 1 was like, we saw him like twice,
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, well, hold on. Now he's doing some stuff with Daemon behind the scenes, and he was spurned a little bit by the king. And
I mean, think about Stannis and Renly. I mean, they're very. I mean,
Stannis doesn't even show up until season 2.
Yeah. So like, just give it time. It's hard to take a total 8 seasons and all these side characters to get so much more.
Yeah.
I think we give them some time. It'll flush out for sure.
Yeah. Like Kristen Cole, for example. Well, okay, we saw him again, and he kind of seems like he's going to be taking a bigger role, and he has a huge role like going forward. But it probably won't even be until end of season 1, season 2 before he really becomes a big player.
Yeah, so just in terms of substance and what's kind of going on here, and I guess for people who have read the book, and even if you haven't, I guess I want to talk to people who have read the book. If and I'm not going to do any spoilers here for anything to come really, but like things were done in this episode, decisions were made by Rhaenyra that are super kind of ironic and will, like, if you've read it, there's a dramatic irony already building right there, like oh my gosh, like we didn't know necessarily how he was chosen. We didn't know all these different things. And so we're getting these extra details that make it almost setting up some bittersweet stuff down the line. So I guess for your book readers, that's really good. And then also, that's a part of the ride. If you haven't read anything and you have no idea what's going on, you're like, okay, something's up here between Rhaenyra and she actually, smart decision. Sir Kristen has the battle experience, makes a lot of sense. And she seems to be really kind of, I don't know, like showing off that, not showing off, but showing that she has an understanding of how things work. Like she feels the weight of being the heir, and she's walking around like she is the heir. So that feels really cool too. But yeah, there's just a lot of little things that are set up, I think, down the line that are going to be ironic and really interesting to watch unfold. So I love it. Yeah.
Good question here. Is it worth reading Fire and Blood? Now the sort of good thing about this story and the bad thing is there's actually multiple different. The Dance of the Dragons has by far the most content of anything outside of the main series in terms of like where things are told. So originally, this was kind of the history on this. George wrote 2 novellas, just little short sort of synopsis histories. One is called The Rogue Prince, and the other is called The Princess and the Queen, The Blacks and the Greens. Those have been sort of broken down and expanded upon, and they were initially put into, let me grab it. It's going to knock everything over here. Just because I happen to have it here. The World of Ice and Fire. So you can read this book, which I sort of prefer over Fire and Blood. And actually, a lot of the information is actually the exact same information.
Yeah.
From it, just because I think some people hear Fire and Blood, but you don't actually have to read Fire and Blood. You could read The World of Ice and Fire, which I sort of prefer, but you could go Fire and Blood route if you want. It's a little more sort of like a history book in the way it's told. I find it incredibly boring and dry. But
how dare you, sir?
Some people are in here.
Well, no, I mean, but the World of Ice and Fire section is taken from Fire and Blood, essentially.
Yeah, it's just the information is kind of just it. Fire and Blood is more sort of like reading a history book, like straight through. Whereas this, they both jump around a little bit, but this focuses on like these are like the key events of this king's reign. Then it moves to the next king. Then it moves to the next king. Whereas that, I don't know. I don't really like it. I feel like it just is all over the place.
Damn.
But some of it is word for word the exact same thing. Like Aegon's Conquest is word for word the exact same thing in this book as it is in the other book.
Yeah, there's just things there's little bits that there'll be an extra.
They're different.
Yeah, or
there's some stuff that's in World of Ice and Fire that's not in Fire and Blood, and there's some stuff in Fire and Blood that's not in World of Ice and Fire.
Right.
And some of the history comes from lines and like little history lessons that somebody goes over in the main series.
Yeah, I think if folks wanted to read it, definitely it's there is some really fun, intriguing stuff, and you almost kind of have to decide what type of show experience do you want to have, right? Do you want to go into this and just really be along for that ride? Some stuff earlier I said there are some things that are set up here by the showrunners, by Germ, that are really interesting, that make things that happen later on really kind of ironic and really dramatic. But you also right now would be blind to those if you hadn't read, and that's okay too. So
Yeah. So actually, the World of Ice and Fire does not reference Fire and Blood. The World of Ice and Fire came out like years ago. It's much older than Fire and Blood. Fire and Blood was like 2017, right? Or 20. When was it? Did it come out after season 8 or did it come out before season 8?
It was before season 8.
It was like, yeah, it was before season 8. In universe. No, I mean in universe. I don't know. It's all just sort of information, and there's just kind of
they're directly.
It really comes from those novellas that.
George they're the same. They're the same.
Yeah.
So it's still a framed. It's still a framed recollection of it. So you still have Mushroom, and you still have Eustace. I think it's Eustace.
Archmaester Gildane.
There you go. So you still have those two. So I mean, it's almost essentially the same thing, except obviously like what's around that.
Right.
Yeah.
And Fire and Blood is actually sort of getting rewritten later this year to be this style of book where it's like got like the thing I like about this is it has like just awesome artwork, and it's like a big thing, but they're redoing it later this year, and I think it's called Reign of the Dragon, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be this style of book, and it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, just to decide the experience you want to have, and I think we are, because we're kind of
there's advantages and disadvantages to both, I'd say, because it was like last week, and like right now, like this episode, we're sort of excited by stuff because it doesn't even necessarily directly say, like with last week with Emma Aaron's death, hey, she dies in childbirth. Okay.
Yeah, if you're interested in adaptation and finding out who would what you could say objectively happened, even though obviously show canon is different from book canon, I think it'd be worth reading it. But if you have not yet, then you don't care about that stuff. You don't care about adaptations and like how they take text. I wouldn't read it yet because you can just be surprised each week. But I've read it. I'm still being surprised.
Yeah,
because we don't have all the details, and there's changes too. This episode changed some stuff from the books. So
yeah, well, one of the things, so we were talking about like Viserys, and we noticed this first episode, and we noticed what with the maggots this episode were eating the dead flesh on his finger. I feel like every episode that he's getting cut up.
Something's happening.
He's got some I don't know what it is. He's moving around on that throne too much, or ants in his pants or something. I would get on there and just settle down, you know what I mean? But anyways, he's getting cut up, and so there's been a lot of without the show, we don't exactly know. I don't remember if we know like exactly why he later on, I don't know how much we're going to reference as to things that happen later on. But anyways, we're learning some things about those who sit on the Iron Throne, and we're learning about some of his cuts and nicks here and there, and it's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear it's not grayscale. I know some people were kind of speculating that it's definitely not. And that finger doesn't look good, boys. It doesn't look good.
No, the fact that he keeps getting like cut here and there, just different injuries or whatever. I mean, it's ridiculous. So yeah. What else you got, Jimmy?
I was going to say, he got that cut when he was sending Daemon away. It's very, very on purpose. And this is 6 months down the road, so obviously it's grown infected. So
right. What did you get? So just so when the whole moment where she picks Sir Kristen Cole, did you guys like that? Like how that was, because we didn't know that, did we? We didn't know how. We just knew that he sort of wore her favor, but it's not normally how the Kingsguard is picked, right?
Yeah, I mean that was the beginning of Rhaenyra kind of taking agency for herself. This is the Rhaenyra episode in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it was really cool to see her kind of step up and go from, misspeaking and having this connection with her father. She spoke out in the small council and then, kind of step back a little bit. She actually then ends up, though, following through on that same idea by being a dragon rider and going out with Otto, which is pretty cool. But yeah, the way she's sort of trying to step into those shoes, being the heir or whatever was pretty awesome. I saw someone else in the chat too was talking a lot about the chemistry, the acting that's going on between Rhaenyra and Daemon, and just the way they it's almost like there's a smirk on like Rhaenyra's face when she's like especially in episode 1, and then even in this there was still sort of a, what are you gonna do, uncle? Right. Really, like, what's up? I'm here.
The tension, the tension's there.
Yeah. There's a different type of tension that is there or whatever, but she's sort of like, it's almost like she's very smart. She's very intelligent. As Jimmy said, this has definitely been her episode to kind of, come forward and shine and step into that I'm the heir role. She's getting surprised here at the end with the small council and the decision to marry Alicent Hightower, but her showing up there was a big deal. I also think it even showed Daemon something too. I think he saw he tosses the egg back. And I think he saw something in her that, might have him thinking a little bit, and he's sort of weighing his options, and he is sort of he's like, I don't know, he's playing with fire, right? I mean, I don't think he would really, he's not going against his brother, but he wants his due. He wants to be the heir. He wants to, this is ridiculous. And actually Rhaenys kind of confirms in her conversation to Rhaenyra what Daemon is saying. Let's stop playing. Like, I'm your brother. I'm the second born son. We're not, this was already decided in the Council of 101 AC, right? We've already determined that we're not going to pass it on to a woman. That's just not going to happen. And so Rhaenys is saying that. Daemon is saying, what's going on? Quit joking and just step up and make me your guy. And it's not happening. So anyways, it's just really interesting to see their dynamic and to see Rhaenyra kind of, I don't know, just be as strong as she is with her uncle, but she's got this confidence being a dragon rider. And I love their dynamic. I love every scene with those two together. So.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's more compelling than just like an A versus B, because like Daemon is a very compelling character in all of this, right? And then you have the Valerians, and then you have Rhaenyra also wanting her claim, and now Alicent is with, I mean, there's just so many sides to this equation. And my wife turned to me and she's like, I have no idea what's going to happen. And I was like, good.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we want.
Yeah, exactly. So here we go. Yeah, same. I'm rooting for them, which is weird, but whatever, right?
Yeah. What do you guys think? Because even, like we sort of know which side we're on just from having read the books. But I mean, I think it's fair to say, like, going into this with not having read the books, I think you could be like, all right, well, I'm on team. People don't even know it's green or blacks yet, but I'm on kind of team Otto. Hightower.
I am a little. Jimmy's like,
what?
Wait, what? Dude, I'm not on. So hold on. Let's reframe that. I thought Matt was going to say just team Hightower, and I was going to say Allison. Absolutely. Otto. I mean, he's.
Well, I would say,
he's playing
yeah, but I mean, right, but I mean,
but the thing is, though, Allison though, is very much like when you watch her, like we like her. I am. I think I think okay, she's just a pawn in this game, and you have a sympathy card being played there on the audience in terms of like what's happening. And so she's in here, and also she's really comforting that she's very, she seems very genuine.
She's definitely comforting something with the king or something.
Wearing her mother's dresses. I mean, and
right.
So it's interesting because I like Allison. I'm not Otto. I'm like, dude, what's up here? But he's trying to get them in experience.
I would say though that, I think that I think there are probably some people out there that are already team Otto. We're viewing it, unfortunately, with the eyes of people who have an idea of what's going on. But Daemon's the one who's like a reckless cannon. And, I mean, Otto's seems pretty much like he knows what he's doing so far. And they actually haven't really shown him so far to be sort of like, a backstabbing, conniving person, other than that one look towards Corlys Velaryon
and sending his daughter to seduce the king in her dead mother's dress.
Well, I mean, what are you gonna do? He said comfort. You should comfort the king.
Where would your mother's dress?
Well, hold on. Okay, but hold on a second. What's more ridiculous? Otto Hightower saying you should go comfort the king, or Corlys Velaryon saying marry my 6-year-old daughter. Okay,
I never said I was team Corlys either. Now I picked this guy.
Okay.
All right,
right. It is kind of funny though, because those people who are team Rhaenyra will, and she's awesome, right? She's I mean, just epic. I feel like it's easy to be team Rhaenyra. Well, knowing what we know and knowing the team members that will be there later, it's odd. It's this awkwardness that you're like, yeah. I mean,
right now it feels like there's far more than 2 teams.
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah. So I mean, which is great. That's the whole element that we want. We want to know, like what's going on, who's gonna stab who in the back, who's trying to.
Because what made Game of Thrones special was there was 5 people that could win, right? I mean,
yeah. So what's interesting about Allison? So somebody said that she has got Cersei aspirations. I'm wondering, and I'm not. What you guys think about that, because I don't know that. Like, I felt like when I read the book,
she does right yet.
Right, when I read the book, that was what I felt. Right, I felt like, okay, yeah, she and Otto, she's in on this. She totally wants to, pursue this. But seeing the nervousness and seeing it's very unclear as to how she feels about this.
I think it's very clear how she feels. I think that this is one of the main differences from the book. The book is very ambiguous about it and kind of just maybe she went and saw Jaehaerys, but in the show I think it's obvious that she's supposed to be sympathetic and that she's kind of being forced.
I don't see it's interesting because when we read the book, it's like we see the path that she ultimately goes down, and so we're like, oh, she is a power hungry Cersei like character. But right here, so then we look in hindsight at well, she was in the room when King Jaehaerys died, and then she's also in the room when another king dies. So it's like, okay, but I don't believe for a second that the Alice that we're seeing on TV could have sort of done King Jaehaerys in,
unless it was really forced by her father or something. I mean, which we whenever probably see.
And the variance in age matters a lot too, because in the book she's older. She's not the same age as Rhaenyra. They're not best friends, right? So that her being aged down actually makes her more sympathetic as well. And the show Allison absolutely did not off Jaehaerys in any way, facet, shape or form. So
And I don't know, it's just really cool to kind of see that. Yeah, that's one of those changes that George talked about, right? That I think this is a good thing. He's realizing, aging her down or making more of a sympathy play for her is good. It helps people sort of pick their side because they're friends too. You're sort of like, okay, now I see the setup here. I see Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra's named heir, and literally all this whole episode was talking about choosing a wife so that you could produce, like you could strengthen the line and you could make more heirs. And that's her friend, Rhaenyra, watching her friend be chosen by her father. I mean, it's just great.
Yeah, that moment of them locking eyes was pretty great.
Yeah, talk about an awkward meeting. I mean, two people storm out of that, and it's awkward as all get out. So
okay, so let's sort of move into predictions for next week. Now, unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately or unfortunately, if you have watched the preview for next week, you can see kind of a little bit of what's going on. If you haven't, then maybe, I don't know, tune out for a second, because I'm going to talk about it just because we already saw it. But I mean, without seeing anything, I think it's pretty obvious we're doing the Stepstones next week.
Yeah.
Right. The war of the Stepstones is going to sort of start. So I'll just leave it at that. But now, having seen the preview for next week, did you watch it? You watched
I
it
did.
live with
Yeah.
me. Okay. Yep. So it looks like we're at a little over a year time jump.
Yeah.
And there is already a male baby from Allison.
Fast.
And so we've already got that going on, right? And we do see some of the War of the Stepstones. I don't know that I feel like this episode's going to be a little bit more Daemon, since he wasn't in it as much this episode. And it's just going to sort of just show us, here's a little bit more. It is now Queen Alicent, Hightower.
Yeah, and she really does. I think she's wearing like a red dress in that or whatever, which is interesting. She's sort of taken a shift in colors a little bit, right? And you also see in that, like, Viserys talking to Rhaenyra about it's time for her to wed. So it feels super like, it's a almost maybe like a little bit of a misstep. So had this have happened a year earlier in episode 2, where he said, or even talked to Corlys beforehand and say, hey, I have this bright idea. I'm going to unite our houses, but here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to, my daughter, my heir, will then be, betrothed to your son. And there we go. Now, clearly that he didn't think that doesn't happen. And it's fine, because again, the timeline with all of this and everything, and how the war needs to happen, and Daemon, and as Corlys is saying at the end of this last episode, he and Daemon need to prove themselves. Don't need to, but they're going to, and they're going to kind of step up, and they're second sons, and they're gonna, have their moment here. So it will be really cool to kind of see that. It almost makes you think that, like, by doing that, by stepping up and doing what they want to do and showing how much power that fleet has, that Viserys then counters and saying, you know what? Okay, I messed up earlier. Now I can't let this alliance go. I need to offer up my daughter, right? I need to send my daughter to House Valerion with Laenor. And so it seems like that's going to be the big convo.
So, well, Jimmy?
Well, I actually just skimmed through the look ahead for episode 3, and yeah, it's definitely going to be Daemon heavy, and it looks sick.
Yeah.
Looks sick.
Yep.
So here's a question. Since we are getting a baby boy next episode, and we happen to know that baby boy is Aegon II Targaryen, do you think that name is chosen? Why do we think that name is chosen? Now that we know a little bit more about potentially some of the things, potentially secrets of, like, White Walkers or Targaryen visions. Yeah, we might need an Aegon on the throne.
Yeah, it seems like it's a very on purpose choice, rather than just being like, it's time for another Aegon. Like, it has a lot more meaning,
good
right?
All guys, yeah. So because you wonder about changes and things that might happen here. I mean, again, he's said even in this episode, again, moving forward, that Rhaenyra is his heir, and we know in the book he keeps to that for quite some time. But is something else kind of going on in the back of his mind? Is there another play here, or what's the deal? How does he I guess keep that not be, how does he, not be estranged from his daughter and yet move forward with his line? Like, what's more important? I mean, I wonder if they're going to make any changes.
Yeah, because we know what happened. Yeah.
We know what happens. And so
we don't want to, we're trying not to, go.
Try not to super go down the.
It's going to make things even more complicated.
Yeah, for sure. So he has a son, and it's like, okay, so now, I mean, let's just go over what you guys have seen it. You know that he has a son with Allison, right? That's
it's in the preview.
It's in the preview. So Damon now is even. So now there is no more like, oh, okay, you have a daughter. I still should be. So Damon's now out. Like that whole play, right, is
out for Damon.
Is out. So now what do you do? And so I think that's some food for people to kind of chew on a little bit and think about. Yeah, what does Damon do now that Viserys actually does have an heir? And I think that child looked pretty well, pretty healthy. You know what I mean? So
in the books, Alicent doesn't like lose a baby. So
right, no,
I mean, she has a baby who is then Aegon the Second Targaryen, and
right.
We progress forward there. So, there was that other thing where we saw Rhaenyra reading a little bit more into that prophecy. Is that next episode?
Could very well be.
Very well be. Right. Yeah, trying to, because that is the interesting part now, is that the heir matters and passing down this information and keeping. Looking, far ahead. The fact that he's named Aegon is interesting. You don't just idly choose that name. I mean, there's a lot of other names that they could have chosen to name him after, but it seems like Viserys has really taken this piece of information, this bit that's passed down from Aegon the Conqueror, to heart a little bit, and really values sort of passing this on to his heir. And he's done that with Rhaenyra. They set that up perfectly. So now you have a young, he's got a child, right? So like Rhaenyra is not going to be, and we're not all of a sudden, there's still years to go until that child would come of age. And so Viserys actually doesn't have to say or do anything, right? For quite some time, which is good. Keeps the peace a little bit, but that's all those years where Rhaenyra, as that child grows, does that threaten her claim? And then people swore an oath, loyalty to her. So,
yeah. Do you guys like the change that, basically Daemon and Corlys are going to go down against the king's orders, whereas in Fire and Blood, the king actually is fine with it. Like, it's not even a big deal. He's like, let him play down there so he doesn't bother me at court, kind of deal.
I think that could still happen, because we have the time jump, he could be like focused. He could be focused on more stuff. So I think that could still happen, but he may not know that they were really planning on it sort of behind his back. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely, I mean, even the discussion of it being a problem and not wanting to go to war with the free cities is like completely omitted in Fire and Blood. So I actually kind of like it, because I think it makes Daemon even more of a rebel. Like, because some people feel like we kind of lost a bit of his like rebelness in episode 1 by giving him so much sympathy. Like whenever he's in the, he's in the middle of the orgy and he's like short stroking, he's like, he can't, you know what I mean? So I kind of liked that it put some more eggs in the chaos basket for Daemon.
Yeah, I mean, so he's the rogue prince. Yeah, you're right. Like, it's like all this. Where does we have to kind of play that up a little bit. And so I think the Stepstones is the right spot to do it, where he's sort of that rebel. Because even at the end too, like the end of the first episode, he gets told by Viserys, like he gets really comes after him. So yeah, to see him not go where he was, but not go back to his wife, go down to Dragonstone, and then continue the plotting and the scheming. Yeah, it's cool.
And Mysaria is also like Mysaria is supposed to be an old bag of bones, from the books, and she's young. I think if there's like one character that's going to be drastically different, I think Mysaria is going to play a role further into the series, whereas in the book, she's kind of left alone.
Do we think she's glamored? She's like a Melisandre glamour. She actually is older.
I could see it. I kind of hope. I hope not. In a way, I don't know. I'd have to see what they do with it. But yes, she could be. I think she definitely could be, because they were pretty specific in giving her this series of dialogue where she's like, "Oh, I want freedom," and like that was, I don't know, it was kind of like it was a good little chunk of the episode
to kind of build her. I mean, they definitely spent time building her character.
Definitely.
It's
That's
going
why I
to
feel
be
like
important.
Yeah, she's going to be a bigger player in this,
right?
I think.
Right now, she kind of feels, I guess, I don't know if it's a fair or unfair comparison. She kind of feels like Shay a little bit.
I agree.
Just because I don't know that now Shay's role is totally different in that she, was really kind of put there, seems like, by Tywin to sort of ultimately get one over on Tyrion, and then but her past is still totally unexplored in the books and is still an enormous mystery. But I mean, she just kind of feels like that same like type of character. Like, we're gonna get her story, but I feel like we'll never know all the details on it.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Refresh. I could be wrong about this, but she's more of a she's the mistress of whispers. And she plays a bigger sort of, I don't know, like maybe a spy or
like a Varys role.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like that at all in this episode. That's who she was.
She's definitely a little bit mysterious, right? Because she kind of says like, maybe you should go get, I think she says like a platinum haired girl to Daemon,
right?
In the first, kind of hinting at certain things, right?
Great. Great comment here too. Sorry. Melissa says the book is a biased opinion though. And she is different, so she doesn't want power and isn't pregnant. Very curious, and that is something to remember about whatever history version of it you read, is that they're both written by Mushroom and Archmaester Gildain, so they're both unreliable narrators.
Well, it's also like that fill in the so when you read it, it says that she again just lost she went to the Free Cities with a child and lost that child, and really that's just the story probably given out by Daemon later on when asked about that. Well, she lost the child. I mean, like, and then somebody in the histories wrote that down. Okay, that's what happened, but Daemon, that's not what happened. We just got sort of we got to see that. So I think that's the stuff we talked about pre-show before this ever came out. We said there's tons of things that they can that was something. I mean, that's a little change that you're thinking like, okay, why would that be even? Why make that change? Well, you make that change to show just how it plays up Daemon's character and just what he's willing to kind of do to get to his brother or to kind of get attention or whatever. So
well, and I also think that her not being pregnant is probably a pretty good indicator, because in the book she's pregnant, right? The show she's not. I think it's a pretty good indicator that she's going to be around longer and that she'll have a role play.
Right. Yep. I'm hoping too that so she wanted that security, but she definitely could be somebody who starts to grow into a role of spies and having some agents or whatever inside the Red Keep and all that kind of stuff, which is what she will do later on. Interesting character though, and definitely totally feels different than what we had in the books, but I like it. And the other big thing it reminds you of too is that the dragons are power. Power is having a dragon, and so being protected by Daemon, she may have some powers or be glamored or have connections or whatever, but the ultimate power here right now is dragons, and that's like flat out established. So which is good. So that's why she's with one. So
awesome. Okay, guys. Well, any last thoughts here on the episode going forward? Now we'll have to figure out what we want to do for next week. I guess, Jimmy, what time do you fly out on Monday?
5 a.m. or something.
Okay.
Oh wow,
it's way too early. There's no way.
So so it might just be me and Ez, and I don't think we can do anything live like on Sunday. But I think
I got this bad boy right here.
We can definitely bang out a quick YouTube short or something.
Yeah.
But certainly, I think Monday morning, Ez and I can live stream my wedding, because nothing goes with the wedding like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Wow. Certainly Monday, Ez and I will record something and get that up, and then maybe later in the week we can all do something like on Thursday or something, just like a bigger bigger thing. I'll be in Hawaii then, and we'll do it from Hawaii and whatever.
Living it up.
I just literally bought like a good like USB like travel microphone so I can have, you know, good quality while I'm on vacation, because I freaking love you guys and I love the stream. So
yeah. Matt, I will say, you know, I mean, people have been asking for it. They're wondering about the betting ceremony, Patreon access to the
Jesus Christ.
I mean, if we can't do the live stream, we got to make up for it. Teresa's gonna kill me.
Someone said, "Are there crabs in Hawaii?" Have to be. Right?
Have to be. Vacations are coming. I am going to Hawaii. They have volcanoes there. You know, perhaps the Doom of Valeria. So.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
So I'm going to the Stepsons. That's kind of like the Stepsons of, you know, like
the
States, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
So nonetheless. So okay, guys. Well, great episode 2. Thank all you guys for coming and listening to the podcast, for watching here on YouTube, doing the hangout. Certainly the following week we will definitely be back live. So not this Sunday, but whatever the Sunday is after that. So you have the 4th, which we will not be live, but the 11th we will definitely be back covering episode 4. Jim, I think you'll be back on, right?
Yeah. So for anyone that's curious, I did put out a video this week on my channel, the Fantasy Nuttwork, and it is the major differences between Fire and Blood and the show. And I'm going to be doing that weekly. So I will have that for episode 2, and then later next week for episode 3 as well. So if you want to check that out, you know, feel free.
Yes, and Ez and I will be covering Rings of Power on our Heroes of the Horn Wheel of Time thing. Jimmy, did you still want to do something for that? What are you thinking?
We'll see. I'm gonna watch the premiere, and we'll see how we feel.
Toss a coin, right?
I'm in right now.
Yeah. So nonetheless, but definitely we'll have a lot more videos and everything coming to you guys here. So stay tuned for that. Hope you guys have a great week, and certainly a great next Sunday, but we will be back with plenty more. Jimmy, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me here on YouTube at the Fantasy Nuttwork. It's down in the description below, and I would love to have you guys over there. And then you can find me at the Flockavelli on Twitter, but I don't tweet that much anymore, so you know, feel free if you want, but YouTube's the main place you can find me.
Absolutely. And you find me anywhere on the internet, Super Games Bros, as anywhere at Womprat_2M. Guys, we will be back. I wanted to make some sort of joke about short stroking and coming, but you know, we'll just leave it with winter is coming.